we will begin with the key elements of OB. All right. Perfect. We will begin with the key elements of OB. So, the key elements in organizational behavior or anywhere else, that means if we talk about the key elements of anything, they will be the building blocks or the foundation stone of that area. That means without those building blocks or without those foundation stones, that thing cannot exist. Similarly, if we talk about the elements of OB, without the elements, the organizational behavior cannot exist, right? So, what will be the key elements of OB? They will be the elements, the basic elements without which the field of organizational behavior cannot exist. The first one, or the first element, is people. We have been discussing from day one that it is the people due to which an organization exists, whether we talk about the employees, whether we talk about the employers, but we are talking about people. So, first and foremost, you will need people in an organization for it to exist, right? Then, then the next ones will be, just a second. Yeah. So, it is the people who are the foundation stone without which the organization cannot exist. You require people to be there, you require people to work, you require people to make that organization. The other day we were discussing that if we subtract the element of people from an organization, it will no more be an organization because nothing else can work without people. So we need people for an organization to work. Then the next element is structure. Structure. All those people whom we were talking about have to be arranged in a particular order, in a particular manner, in a particular plan, and the way in which positions are arranged in an organization is called the hierarchy of the organization. This hierarchy represents the structure of the organization. This means that if you have to make the structure of an organization, you will have to organize those positions in a certain format. Now, if there are people, if we have people in the organization, but there is no structure, what will happen? You will not be able to assign any task because all are on the same position, or even if you assign, there are no superiors, there are no subordinates, all are on the same position, right? So, it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult for people to coordinate, to ask whose responsibility is it to do this task, whose responsibility is it to do that work, right? So, for now, we can say that the structure provides a support to the organization. How? It works just like your backbone. Your bone gives support to your body. Similarly, a structure gives support to the organization. When there's a structure, when there's a hierarchy in the organization, when there's a hierarchy in the organization, then people find it easy to delegate tasks. Suppose I am given a responsibility, I will distribute that responsibility among my team members. Okay, now we all are supposed to do this. So, so it is very important to understand that you need people to be arranged in a structure. If they are not arranged in a structure, if they do not know whether there is a superior or who is that superior and who are the subordinates, doing work is going to become difficult. So, a structure provides a support, a structure provides a backbone to the organization. So, we need people, and those people should be arranged in a structure or in a hierarchy. Then, the next is technology. The next is technology. Now, the next is technology. The next element of organizational behavior is technology. So, if I ask you that 20 years back or 40 years back, when people did not have the technology that is present right now or that we are using right now, how did they work? Hmm? Must have been difficult for them. बताइए. If we take a very small example of the kitchens of our houses, there were no mixer grinders years back. So, how did it work? I do not know. I am using a microphone and I do not know what to do with my voice, how to make it louder. Yeah. So, 50 years back, or say 30 years back, 50 years back, there were no, mixer grinders or that proper technology. ये क्या बोलते हैं, food processor type. So, how did our grandmothers manage their kitchen, the work of grinding, mixing? How did they do it? They had something called hand grinders or stone grinders kind of thing. which in our common language we call it silbatta. They used that to grind things. This means grinding took place even 50 years back. Only the way, the method of doing it was different, right? Similarly, now also we are doing work, but the way of doing it is different depending on the technology that is available to us. Okay. Uh, there were no computers few years back, few decades back. There were no computers. Then how did people do the work of typing or documentation? They used typewriters. They used fax machines to send one document from one place to the other. So, if a technology is not there, that does not mean a work will not take place. Whatever technology is available, people will use that technology. Technology enables us to do work, rather, it makes our work easier. Technology makes our work easier. So, so here, if we talk about the technology, here, if we talk about how the work has was done earlier, so some or the other technology was there which made the work easier, which enabled us to work better. So that is how technology plays a role in doing a task. So you require people, you require structure, you require technology to do a work or to do a task. Now, these are the three basic elements of OP. The fourth element is environment. Now, any person or any organization does not exist in isolation. What does this mean? This means that you need an environment in which you can exist. What do we mean by environment? Environment means the factors among which the organization is present. Now, there are two types of environment of an organization: the internal environment and the external environment. The internal environment of the organization is affected by the people who are present inside the organization. That means the employees of the organization, right? And the external environment by the external factors that are present outside the organization, like the competitors, the suppliers, the vendors, the government, media, customers, society, all these are present outside the organization, जिनको हम स्टेक होल्डर्स भी कहते हैं, है ना, whom we call the stakeholders of the organization. Now, people, structure, technology, environment, and we are talking about the external environment. So, the economic factors, the political factors, the technological factors, all these are present in the external environment of the organization. Suppose you do not keep pace or you do not consider the external factors. Suppose if the technology is changing and you keep on working with the same technology, or the economical scenario is changing and you continue working with the same pace, with the same style that you were working, it will become for the organization to survive, because you are not taking information from the environment. If you see, there is a two-sided arrow with the environment. What does this mean? That you have to give information to the environment and you have to take information inside. Then only you will be updated. Then only you will know what changes are taking place in the environment. Now, the environment, as I told you, consists of the various factors. Uh, Suppose there is some crisis in the country. So what is happening? The political factors of the country are changing. The political factors of the country are changing. If you ignore those changes and continue working in the same factor, same manner, then it will become difficult for your organization to survive, because suppose there's some crisis in the country, political factors are changing. Crisis means there's some economic problem as well, right? So suppose there is a recession kind of a scenario. Now in recession, it is very, very difficult for organizations to work or to make profit, because there is a downfall in the economy. So people prefer to buy only things which are very essential for them. All those things which are not essential, or which can be postponed to later date or later time, they are postponed because there is some economical crisis. People, when there is a economical crisis, people lose their jobs. People are not able to make profit. In such a scenario, if you continue working with the same capacity, producing the same output, then you are actually closing your eyes to the reality. The reality is that there is some crisis and people will not be able to buy in the same manner. Even essential commodities, sometimes it becomes difficult for people to even buy. Those who are facing problems, it becomes difficult for them to buy even essential commodities. They are not even able to buy food for themselves. In that, if you expect that you have uh, say factory which manufactures shirts, and if you expect that you keep getting the orders in the same type, in the same manner that you were getting earlier before the crisis, then you are actually fooling yourself. What I am trying to tell from this example is that you need to keep pace, you need to understand what is the technology that is being used, right? You are not supposed to do anything directly with, you know, the changes in the environment, but you have to adjust according to those changes. Then, yeah, so I have explained to you these four elements. People, they make up the internal social system and consist of individuals and groups. People can be either in the form of individuals in the organization or in the form of groups. Groups can be formal groups which are made by the organization, or informal groups that are made by people themselves. So, hmm, okay. Then we talked about the next element, that was structure, right? Structure is the manner in which people are arranged in an organization, right? People are arranged in a structure, in a manner, in an order, in a hierarchy, whatever you call it. So structure will define what kind of relationships you will have in the organization, who will be your superior, who will be your subordinate. The structure enables us to do a work effectively, or to divide a work, or to uh, distribute responsibility among people. So structure makes it a little easier. Then we talked about technology. Technology helps us to do work in the form of how the work is to be done, how the work is to be distributed, how we have to monitor work. So technology plays a major role in that. And the higher or the better the technology, easier the work will be. Easier the work, better the productivity. So ultimately, a better technology is going to bring better results for the organization itself. Then environment, I told you there are two types of environment, the internal and the external environment. The external environment consists of all the parties or the stakeholders of the organization, and the internal environment is formed by the people who are working in the organization. Their satisfaction, their motivation, their working conditions, all these together will form the internal environment of the organization. You want to ask anything? Hmm? Anyone? This is important. The elements of OB are important. You must know, because these are the building blocks of OB. Now we begin with the fundamental concepts of organizational behavior. Okay. So the fundamental concepts, or the basic concepts, or the assumptions on which OB is based, is divided into two categories: nature of people and nature of the organization. Sorry. Yeah. Nature of people and nature of the organization. That means the concept is divided on two categories, or on two factors. First factor is the factors that affect individuals, है ना? Whether it is individual differences, whether it is a whole person, whether it is a motivated behavior, or the value of the person. And then there's a group concept, or the concept of the organization, where it says that the nature of the organization comprises of two factors: social systems and mutual interest. Coming to the first one, that is individual differences. Right? Individual differences mean that each and every person in the organization is different. Right? We all know that. We all know that each and every person in the organization is different. So we should keep that factor in mind when we are considering the organization. We cannot assume that, or we should not make any policies considering that हाँ ये सबको पसंद आएगा, मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, or it is suitable to me so it will be suitable to everybody. No, we all know each one of us is different. Our expectations, our dreams, our way of achieving those dreams, our way of reacting towards failures, everything is different, right? So each one of us are uniquely different from the other person, and these individual differences must be kept in mind when you're making the policies, or when you're making something in the form of rules and regulations or policies for people. That means if people are working in an organization, that does not mean each one of them has the same expectation from the organization. They can have different set of organization, a different set of expectation from the organization, and their way of achieving their goals can also be different. So when we talk about an organization, when we talk about managing an organization, when we talk about making some policies, procedures for the people, we must keep in mind that each one of them is uniquely different, and we must respect those differences rather than asking them to fall in the same or to fit in the same box. We must respect, because maybe that difference that is there between people, that can be a unique thing for your organization. You might take benefit of those differences by making people work for your organization, right? So if I am say handling a group, and if my method of handling is the same, it will not be effective, as some people will not be satisfied with my behavior. Maybe some will feel demotivated also because I treat everybody in the same manner. Suppose some work was completed and I am distributing a reward after that, and I have given the same amount of reward. Then the person who has worked the most, suppose there is a person who has worked the most, or that person's team has worked the most. So I want to give them, so I should reward them differently, right? The one who has done the maximum work should get a better reward, and the one who has not contributed should be treated in the same proportion. If I treat them this in the same manner, next time the person who has worked the most will not uh, maybe be happy uh, with what way in which I have treated them. That even if you work, you get the reward. If you, even if you don't work, you get the reward. So people must respect those individual differences, and their approach towards the employees should be according to those differences. Also, mm, suppose some people are comfortable in communication, some people are communicating, some people are comfortable in writing something, some people are comfortable in presenting. So the organization must respect these differences and take advantage. Those who like to communicate with each other, send them for sales, you know, rather than saying no, you are in the finance department, you have been allocated here, do the work of finance. We must try to identify those differences and then try to make the most of those differences rather than cursing people for not aligning to something or for not following something. Okay. Yes, somebody had raised their hand. Akash, probably. What do you want to ask, Akash?
नो मैम, वो गलती से हो गया था।
Okay. All right. We move on to the next concept, that is a whole person. Now, this is a very typical concept, a whole person. Now, what does this mean? This means that when you employ people, when you choose them to do job for you do not just employ their skills. Obviously, you employ them for the skills they have, for the personality maybe they have, for the way they have presented themselves. But do you just take out the brain of the person? जिसका दिमाग बहुत अच्छा चलता है, or that person is very sharp, has got a high IQ, will work very good for my organization. No, you employ the entire person, no, with their set of weaknesses, with their set of uh, drawbacks, with their uh, entire personality. So when you treat them, they must be treated also in the same manner, that they are a whole person and not just their skill, their abilities, or their talent, right? Some people can, you know, face difficult times. Some people are having a bad maybe situation in the family, so you cannot discard that, saying that that is a part of your personal life. What do I have to do with this? You will have to do your work. There must be compassion towards the employees. There must be uh, empathy towards the employees, that they are in, not just their talent who is employed in the organization. They are much more than that, and this is a very humanistic approach towards an organization. And the other one which I was talking about, that I am talking only about the skills, abilities, talent, and not concerned about the entire person, their feelings, their emotions, their problems. This is a very mechanistic approach, machine like, treating humans like machines. Come, work in the organization, go. We are not concerned with whatever you are facing. Or we even ignore the existence of any personal life or any problem that can arise due to that. So, uh, this assumption, this concept says that we must accept that we have employed an entire person with their weaknesses, with their challenges, with their problems, with their personal life, and not just the skills and abilities of a person. Then, motivated behavior. Now, what is motivated behavior? Motivation, we've already studied. Motivation is the drive to achieve your goals, that inner desire, that spark, that fire in the belly that makes you achieve your goals is called motivation. Now, motivated behavior, why is it required for employees to have a motivated behavior? Because motivated employees work better for the organization, give better results. Each and every organization seeks to provide motivation to their employees, और अल्टीमेटली मोटिवेशन क्यों प्रोवाइड करना चाहते हैं? मोटिवेशन इसलिए प्रोवाइड करना चाहते हैं दैट इफ दे विल बी मोटिवेटेड, they will work better. So better performance of an employee will lead to a better performance of the organization. Here, what we must acknowledge is that not all or not each employee will be motivated by the same motivational factor. Why? If you remember, we talked about this factor, individual differences, right? Individual differences are there in every employee. So, their behavior or their way of getting energized will be different. Some people will be motivated by money, some will be motivated by power, some will be motivated by position, some will be motivated by recognition, praise. There are many things. So, this every organization will say that we want to keep our employees motivated, but they also have to acknowledge that their employees, each employee is different from each other, hence they will be motivated by different factors. Now, it will be quite impractical if I say that we should provide factors of motivation for each and every employee. It will be very difficult for the organization. Yes, but the organization can at least provide a variety of factors. If not for each employee, then at least they can make a group of motivational factors, that six, seven motivational factors are there. One or the other is going to motivate the employee, right? We must keep in mind that not only one, but one factor or the other factor or some other factor is going to motivate the employees to work better for the organization. Is that clear to you? Okay. Now, the value of a person. What does this mean? This is more of a, moral concept rather than a concept that is related to a person, that people should be treated as people. If you employ somebody, that does not mean you have bought them or you have got 100% right over that person, right? You are a person and the other person is also a person. You belong to the same category, that is, you are Homo sapiens. What is Homo sapiens? Human beings. In biology, human beings or man has been categorized into this category called Homo sapiens. That means each one of us are the same. There might be economical differences, there might be status differences, there might be, uh, you know, differences of background, region, religion, but at the end of the day, each one of us is a human being. Whether I'm working at the position of an executive or a manager or a general manager or a CEO, or I'm working at the position of a peon, each position is being held, sorry, each position is being held by a human being. So that person must be valued or respected in the same manner, in the same dignity. Then the person will also feel a sense of belongingness towards the organization. You do not treat an employee well, what will the employee do? The employee will keep working for the organization till the day the employee finds a better opportunity and will leave your organization. But if you value your employees, even in the chance of opportunity, they will keep in mind for once that this organization provides me with all the dignity, with all the opportunities, has taken care of me, my family. I must maybe give something in return to the organization, or at least tell that I'm getting a better opportunity and I'm willing to leave. Maybe that organization still values your contribution and would like you to continue with them. So, the people, the individuals should be valued as people. They should be given the respect that is given to each individual despite belonging to different backgrounds, despite holding different positions in the organization. So these were the individual concepts. Is there any doubt? Yeah. I will appreciate if any one of you has got any doubt and would like to ask. If you do not have a doubt, it is okay. But if you have, please feel free to ask.